Where's Sam Leavitt going? Is Deuce Knight going to be the guy at Ole Miss? DJ Lagway, the guy at Baylor, and more? Let's talk portal quarterbacks.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
To the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The college football playoff final is here, and if you want to get your playoff boost, check it out inside the FanDuel app next Monday when the Hurricanes play the Hoosiers. Let's talk about what's going on with Cam Coleman a little later in the show, why he sets the trend, why that is a special football player in general, and why, quite honestly, the Manning family is getting a really good insight into what a linear jet looks like when he takes off. Because Cam Coleman, I can tell you from seeing him up close, that's not a normal football player. But throughout the rest of the show, we're going to be talking about all the quarterback stuff. Sam Leavitt, we'll get to that. I'm going to talk about Deuce Knight, kid I know quite well. DJ Lagway, another kid that I know, he's going to Baylor. Obviously, the Dylan Raiola to Oregon, is that going to be the same offense that Dante Moore operated for the Ducks? We'll see. There's a lot of stuff going on with the portal. I just want to have some fun with the quarterbacks and then again talk a little Coleman. But first off, the guy that I want to discuss is Deuce Knight. He was an elite recruit out of high school, committed to Notre Dame, signed with Auburn. Now he is transferring back to his home state of Mississippi. What does this mean? Well, quite frankly, it means that there's going to be a big-time player up in Oxford. So here are my questions. Deuce will be a redshirt freshman next year at Ole Miss. Is he ready to carry the water for the Rebels and help them be that program? So basically, is he going to be an impact guy? I don't know exactly what the offense is going to be, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty close to what Lane ran in terms of scheme. And for those that don't know, Deuce is 6'4.5", 210, 215 pounds. His vertical is over 40 inches. He's the kind of guy that can do just about anything you can imagine on a football field as it relates to athleticism. And he's got the arm to throw it a mile, all those things, throws the deep ball well. But playing time is playing time. He played well against Mercer for Auburn at the end of the year. He had like 6 total touchdowns, 4 rushing, 2 passing, I believe. But he's just a tremendous football player in terms of his upside. But now he's going to be going against SEC competition once he gets to play for the Rebels. I think he's going to do well pretty early, but there will probably be a few bumps in the road, typical for a redshirt freshman. But I think that will take care of itself pretty quick because he can do something wrong and score a touchdown. He has those kind of skills. Now, speaking of skills, leadership. Deuce is a quiet guy, really easy to get along with, but pretty quiet. I'm curious to see what his leadership is like as an Ole Miss Rebel. Again, that's his home state. There's some pride with it, and they're going through all this change. There's a lot on his plate because Trinidad Chambliss, he's been denied. He's not coming back unless something gets appealed and it works out. And Austin Simmons is headed to Missouri. So he's pretty much the guy. Who is it going to be for them if he's not the leader? Like, usually it's a quarterback, but it could be somebody else. So that's something else Ole Miss has got to figure out. Finally, this is just something in general. Is Ole Miss here to stay as a team that can be a playoff contender, at least for the foreseeable future? I really don't know, but it's fun to discuss. 2 things that make me think that they are. Number 1, if you're going after Deuce Knight, you had to spend some money. Number 2, Deuce Knight had plenty of options. If he didn't think Ole Miss was going to be competitive, even though it's his home state school, do you really think he would have selected the Rebels? I don't. He could have went to other schools. Instead, he's heading to Ole Miss. I think those 2 combinations, again, they had to compensate him, so they're serious. And 2, he's not going to go somewhere he doesn't think he can at least be around good players and win football games. So I think Ole Miss is kind of a team that most people don't take serious usually. And then this year they obviously really exploded. But I think even though Lane Kiffin is now down in Baton Rouge, that's not going to matter. They've got a good staff they're assembling. And, I'll talk about that later on in the spring once we get closer to spring ball. But right now, the Ole Miss Rebels, that's a program that honestly, you need to probably start taking a look at because they should be a top 20 program probably just about every year now, the way they're trending. Next up, this is another player that I think is very intriguing and for similar reasons. From one SEC school, but this time to the Big 12, DJ Lagway goes back to his home state of Texas. He's from the greater Houston area. His father played at Baylor. That's where he's going. Is Lagway ready for Baylor spring practice? That's my number one question because he's been banged up so much. Is he going to be full go for that spring ball practice? I don't know the answer to that. And I'm not sure that he does either because they got to figure out what's best for him long term. And while they need to get him in there and get as many reps as possible with all the receivers, Dave Aranda's squad, it's pretty simple. Their offense, they had plenty of firepower this last year, but they're losing a quarterback that's going to end up in the NFL. They need him in there only if he's healthy. They can't risk him not playing in the fall. So that's a big thing that I have to get taken care of between now and the end of spring, and hopefully that works out over the summer as well. Number two, Lagway is a very talented guy, and he's been known as a runner, but I don't think he wants to run a whole lot. I think Baylor's offense, which didn't run the quarterback a ton, will probably be a good fit. Is it going to be enough for them to be a contender in the Big 12? I don't know. I don't think that's going to be as much about DJ Lagway as much it is about Dave Aranda's defense figuring some things out because they were bad last year too many times. They're certainly not in the same stratosphere as Texas Tech, and to otherwise proven, I think Tech's going to dominate that league because they spend more on the portal than anybody else. With that being stated, at least you have a quarterback, a kid from Texas. He's a legacy. This should work out pretty well for Baylor overall. And then there's Dylan Raiola. Going to Oregon. Are the Ducks a title contender with Raiola? He completed 72% of his passes last year for the Huskers. I could see it. If he takes even another step forward, doesn't have to be anything specific. He doesn't turn it over a lot, doesn't put the ball in harm's way. Dylan Raiola absolutely, unequivocally has the ability to put them in a contention for a deep playoff run. We'll see if he can be that guy or not, but we'll figure that out later. The only other question I have about Dylan, what's the offense going to be? The reason I ask is when Dante Moore came out of high school, he was a self-proclaimed pocket passer. I'd even spoken to him about it. He gave himself a 4 out of 10. I thought that was kind of low when I spoke to him at a tournament one time about his ability to run the football during a read option play. Now, he's in better shape now. He's been through college training, and he's learned how to run the football. But I don't think Raiola wants to be that guy, although he's a big dude. Are they going to use him as a runner at all, or is it just going to be completely pocket passer? That's something I'm curious about. But otherwise, Will Stein's gone. What's the offense going to look like? Who's it going to be that really designs it? Is Raiola going to have any say in it? How is that going to work? How close is it going to be to Nebraska's offense? All those things I'm curious about in spring ball. So Oregon will be a very fascinating team. Now, as it relates to everything else that's going on in college football, we can't forget about the Sam Leavitt situation. I'm just going to give you my 1-minute synopsis here on different pieces from different places, people I've spoken with or heard speak on, like Locked On Moscona, Locked On LSU. He's as dialed into a program as anybody in the network. He thinks LSU still has a shot there, but I don't think after the whole snafu with the Damon Williams situation that it's going to work out for LSU. I think it's more Tennessee or Miami. That's my guess based on the vibe of what Matt said. Checking in at other places, Miami thinks they got a good shot. Tennessee thinks they got a good shot. There's nobody that I've spoken with or heard anything that doesn't think there's a chance that Sam Leavitt ends up at their school. And he kind of sets the rest of the board because he's the last big name left, despite the Liz Frank injury, the foot injury that's very annoying. I believe he had the surgery and he should be ready for fall, but he's not going to be available for spring practice. If Leavitt goes to Miami, I think they'll be back in the hunt for a title again next year because they've got a good roster. Tennessee, he could be the guy that catapults him into that category. And then LSU, they're putting together a pretty good roster, but right now they just don't have a quarterback. It's possible they could be that team as well. They got some really good receivers coming in. We'll see how that goes. But Leavitt, I predicted before the portal cycle kicked off, would end up at Miami. I'm going to go with that until otherwise known. Miami seems to do great at landing QBs. Why not again this year? That's my pick. It's just gut, nothing more, nothing less. But I think Sam Leavitt would be a pretty darn good fit for the Miami Hurricanes. When we come back, I want to talk about Cam Coleman, why he sets the bar at receiver in more than one way. That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The college football playoff is down to Indiana and Miami, and it has been a great ride. And FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get on all the action with that game, because right now, every college football playoff game, FanDuel users get a profit boost when they go into the FanDuel app. So whether you're betting on Indiana, who opened as a 7.5-point favorite, whether you're betting on Miami, whether you're betting on player props, maybe it's something else, it's up to you. All you have to do is check out the FanDuel app this next Monday to watch the game, and you'll check it out and get a player boost. So FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action all playoff long. Visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost this next Monday. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. Check out everything they got going on. Wayfair is a really cool site if you want to get everything going in regards to what's happening in your home. If you need a little bit of a refresh, start the new year off right. I'm actually in the process of moving, and I actually need to get some more, and I bought the desk. I really like it, and it's something that I got delivered to my door in 3 days right off the Wayfair site. So from bedding to a mattress to a desk or anything else that you need for any room in your house, even kitchen stuff, Wayfair makes it easy. So check it out, all the stuff that you could possibly go with. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year with Wayfair. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style and every home. All right. Here's my thought on the entirety of the Cam Coleman situation. It's pretty straightforward. This was a bidding war. He wanted to win. He wanted to stay in the SEC, A&M, Texas, Alabama. He left Auburn. But what is he doing in terms of A, setting the market, and B, what does this mean for Peyton Manning's crew of Manning followers and everything with his brother Eli, the Arch, all them? They've got everything in that family going their direction. Now they get Cam Coleman, by the way. That's just amazing. And for the Horns, you've got a really good roster. I have a feeling there's going to be a couple more big ones coming. They got Hollywood Smothers. They also flipped him from Bama. Like, the Manning family should be pretty happy adding Cam on this. Now my question is, will they get one more player, whether it's a left tackle or something else, because that's pretty good. But here's the thing about the trend. It was reported, for whatever it's worth, I don't know what the final numbers were, the Cam was getting $4 million from Texas. That's a lot of money for a wide receiver. Now, he's a special player. I understand that. He could be the boundary, he can be the flanker, whatever you want. But $4 million for a receiver is pretty top end. To that end, what does that mean for the rest of the market? Like, what's the next tier? Is there anybody that will even come close to that? Or is this going to be like a yearly thing? The NIL for a player like Coleman, who's got 2 years of college experience, has started pretty much from day one at Auburn. How's that going to work out? How is that going to work out? I'm not sure there will be many Cam Colemans in the portal moving forward. So to me, this is at least a short-term anomaly. But 6'4", 202 pounds and runs like a deer just doesn't happen every day. So Texas took their shot. And I guess if you overspend by $1 million to increase your odds of winning a title, I'm good with it. But nonetheless, there are a lot of really good players in the portal that aren't making that kind of money. That's pretty crazy. So my question to anybody listening, or if you're listening to this later on after I post this to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else, it's pretty straightforward on this as well. Do you think the $4 million gamble on Coleman is worth it? Yes. Explain why. No. Explain why. To me, it's yes. Because if you're Texas, you're an oil well school. I mean, you got money just from that. It's out the yin yang law school, business school. You got plenty of rich boosters. $1 million may not sound like a small amount to you or me, but To Texas, probably not a huge deal. For them, I get why they do it. Secondarily, this impacts Oklahoma for the Red River rivalry game. This impacts the Texas A&M game. He almost could have ended up at Texas A&M, a place that he originally committed. And there were still other schools. I'm sure that LSU and Florida and every other school inquired. So Texas not only doesn't have to play against Cam Coleman, he's going to be on their sideline promoting their program. Final point here, and matter of fact, I'll make it into a question. Who is your next portal wide receiver and why? Who would you rank number 2? Or would you rank somebody ahead of Cam if you want? That's your business. I would have him number 1. Who is it and why? There are a lot of different players. I would probably look at Nick Marsh or Marion Miller, kid from Colorado. He's going to Arizona State, by the way. Great pickup for the Sun Devils. Marsh is headed to Indiana. He'll get coached up there with Sig and all those guys. I think this is a really good barometer. Let's see what we got in the chat today. Let's see. Lori Underwood. Deuce is going to be huge for Ole Miss. Wish he would have stayed at Auburn. He wanted to play, my friend. He wanted to play. Johnny Jackson, the Emperor. Going from Florida to Baylor is a massive downgrade. In terms of, like, Florida's been bad, but like prestige in a program, I get it. But Baylor's a good school and it's home state. We'll see how it goes for DJ. Lori, I agree, but every once in a while, Baylor is a good team. We will see if Lagway can make them better. Be hard to be much better than Baylor's quarterback from last year. Baylor's quarterback hasn't been their issue. Their quarterback issue is that he has to score 40. Here's the irony. Dave Aranda is a defensive coach. Remember, he was at Wisconsin. They went to LSU, then got the head gig at Baylor. When is he going to win with defense? That's something I want to know. Oh, Leavitt committed to LSU. Did that just happen? I did not know that he did, if that's the case. And if Leavitt is going to surprise it, I should have known better. As soon as I do a podcast, something like that will happen. But it is what it is. I just saw Quincy Porter. He committed to Notre Dame, and sure enough, there it is 1 hour ago. So as soon as I come onto the show, Sam Leavitt commits to LSU. Fair enough. That is big news. My question now, I might as well go with this. Who's Tennessee get, or are they done? Are they going to stick with Joey? That's 1. And 2, who does Miami pivot to? Anybody got any ideas? I think that Miami, they've got Emory, but he didn't do well in the bowl game last year. Then they went out and they get a portal quarterback. I haven't heard anything about Emory Williams all season long. But who's left for Miami? If it is truly done deal and he's not just committed, by the way, you can switch just because you commit in the portal doesn't mean it's done deal. It's paperwork, the whole 9 yards. Is it done? I'm just saying, because there's been so much change with this stuff. Yeah, and by the way, I'm looking at it. It is true. Leavitt committed to LSU. Thank you for that, Graham Kelly. I appreciate it, sir. But man, that is a big one. Pete Thamel on 3, etc. Appreciate it. What's going on, Raymond? How you doing, sir? Notre Dame is heating up. Love the Quincy Porter pickup. He's a dude. For those that don't know, he played at Bergen Catholic in New Jersey. He committed to Notre Dame after signing with Ohio State. And there's this guy there named Jeremiah Smith that thought Quincy Porter was up next for them. That's a really big pickup for them. Wasn't long ago, but yep, Leavitt committed to LSU. Yeah, I just got done with another podcast and I haven't even looked in the last half hour or so. So I got burned on that one. Keon Keeley to Notre Dame. We knew that one was going to happen. I'd heard about that a while back. No idea where Miami goes from here. Yeah, this is interesting. This is a whole new beat. What's going to happen? I'm trying to think. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up here. This is bad radio to do this now, but let's see what the portal quarterbacks are. This is really going to be interesting. I'll pull it up on my screen here because this is wild. They haven't even updated it on 24/7 yet, but I'll share my screen for those of you that are watching. If you're listening to this later on, I'll go through the list, but this is good stuff right here. This is good stuff. All right. So Sam Leavitt, again, they've got him still listed. Right. If you look at the screen, they don't have him as pledged to LSU yet. That's pretty wild. But he is now committed to the LSU Tigers. Brendan Sorsby, Cincinnati to Texas Tech. Let's just run down the list. Drew Mestamaker, he's going from North Texas, led the nation in passing just over 4,100 yards. He's at Oklahoma State. Lagway, Florida to Baylor. Raiola, Nebraska to Oregon. Usain Longstreet, he wants to play next year. Some people thought he was going to end up at LSU, but he wants to play next year. That's just not going to happen with Leavitt now headed to LSU. Deuce Knight is going to Ole Miss. We're going to come back to the Longstreet thing in a second. Byron Brown, this kid is so good. 3,000 passing, 1,000 rushing last year for USF. He is headed to Auburn. He's following his coach, Mr. Golish. Iowa State gets Rocco Becht. Great guy. Good luck to Rocco. Iowa State to Penn State. TCU, Josh Hoover going to Indiana. Now let's look down the list. Like, where are we going to have to get to before there's another guy that's not committed or whatever? Ethan Grunkemeier's like projected Virginia Tech. Bo Prabula, he does not fit Miami's offense, but he's available. This is interesting for Miami. Like, who are they going to get? Like, I wonder how many of these deals, by the way, just because you're committed doesn't mean that it's done deal. You have to be able to. Jaden Craig's going to TCU. He's the kid from Harvard. That's a great story. Anthony Calandria is going to Nebraska. Chromahawk's going to USF. AJ Hill, he's going to Arkansas. Jake Merklinger, he's not that great. UCF, Taven Jackson. I mean, what is Miami going to do? This is wild. Like, when it came to Tennessee, they already had an option. Their guy, I think he led the SEC Aguilar in passing or close to it. But they were still shopping because they're trying to improve the roster. Okay. Miami, now, is it going to be a younger guy? Is it Emory Williams? Is it Luke Nickel? Is it Darian Coleman that's coming in? I don't know what's going to happen there with Miami. I honestly don't. This is new to me, so this ought to be pretty wild. I don't know. It's really wild. This is a great question. Do they go after Usain? Usain Longstreet, for those that don't know, he is one of the strongest arms I've seen in a long time. I saw him last year. Or was it, would have been 2 summers ago at a 7-on tournament. His arm strength is insane. He's built like an MMA fighter, like shredded. But he threw everything 100 mile an hour, no, 20 yards or 5 yards. I'm like, okay, he needs to learn layering. He needs to learn touch. He needs to learn level 1, level 2, level 3 ball, all that stuff. But the physical skill is there. I just don't think he's ready to be on a team that's competing for a title next year. He needs another year to watch, but he wants to play. I have no idea where he's going to go. I don't really know him. I've just been around him, but that's pretty wild. Let's see. There's a lot of Notre Dame stuff going on here. I'm hoping we get either the Bama D tackle or Breru, depending on which one goes to Ohio State. For those that don't know, James Smith and Breru are both kids that are very, very talented. Smith was at Bama this past year. Breru was at Pittsburgh. Sal Try 4997. Notre Dame and Ohio State have had rookie quarterbacks that went pretty far. Miami can do the same. Yeah. And with Emory Williams and backups, which are really good. I agree. I don't think you this is just something general. I'm not using this because Miami is the discussion point right now. You don't have to have a 1st or 2nd round pick at quarterback to get to the Final Four of the playoffs. You need a guy that fits your system, does really well, and has all the nuances that are necessary on 3rd downs, decision-making, getting guys in and out of the right play, adjusting things quickly, leadership, off the field leadership, all those things play a factor too. They are a package deal. Who are we talking about? The 2 Bama guys. Oh, okay. The 2 Bama guys were a package deal, I thought. The other one's Quay Russaw. If I remember right, Keon Keeley, I believe, committed to Notre Dame too. But in a nutshell, there's still going to be a lot of news. I'm just going to throw this out. Monday of next week, the day that, ironically, the national title game takes place between the Canes and the Hoosiers, that'll be maybe the biggest portal day, because by that point, the entire weekend is over. All the agents and everything, they're going to try to get news out because it's a Monday. It's a big news day. So while today's a big day and the next few will be big, I'm telling you, next Monday will be an accumulation of all kinds of things. I'm kind of looking forward to that portal show because it'll just be wild. I might just start the show and say, I'm checking Twitter. We're just going to update it as we go. That might be literally what I do, because it could be just buck wild. Let's see. I think that's about it for the chat. So I guess I'll just wrap it up here with this. Since Leavitt's going to LSU, we're now going to be discussing more Miami stuff. Again, they could obviously flip him, and Miami could still go after Ty Simpson and try to get him to go there instead of going to the draft. That's what they did a couple of years ago. That worked out pretty good. The guy ended up being number 1 in the draft, and he's now the quarterback in Nashville. So anyway, lots of possibilities. I think that Miami will be fine. They'll figure it out. They've got some good quarterbacks on campus, but nonetheless, everybody have a good day. I appreciate it. Check out the Portal Podcast and make sure you like and subscribe. We will see you again soon.